Hi, Tim Kitchen here from Adobe, and this is a little bit weird because I'm actually using a screen capture program to capture a screen capture program, and I'll be doing a little presentation here on Adobe Presenter, and in particular the video capture side of Adobe Presenter called Adobe Presenter Video Express. So let me just quickly jump to a couple of slides here, just looking at this one first. Just explains who I am from Adobe, Senior Education Advocate for Asia Pacific, and there's my details if you want to get in contact with me through my email, my Twitter and my blog. And I just want to do a little promo for the Adobe Campus Leader program, which we started earlier this year. In fact, it was started this year, and it's the pathway to becoming an Adobe Education Leader. You can't apply to become an Adobe Education Leader. You are invited, and the way that you are invited is if you have been an Adobe Campus Leader, or you've shown amazing passion through your work and use of Adobe tools in your classrooms, and you've been a really engaging member of the Adobe Education Exchange. So what we'd encourage you to do is, if you're that sort of educator, really passionate about creativity in the classroom, really passionate about using Adobe tools, have a go at applying to become an Adobe Campus Leader, and then that's the pathway to becoming an Adobe Education Leader. So basically, flipped learning is kind of like the background behind this presentation, as well as the Adobe Presenter is a fantastic tool for those people who like the flipped learning approach to teaching and learning. And this is a definition from the Flipped Learning Network, flippedlearning.org, of flipped learning. It's a great definition. It really sort of captures what flipped learning is all about. The thing that a lot of educators have had issues with flipped learning has been it's actually quite a difficult process to do video. Video editing is quite time consuming. The ratio between capturing footage and processing footage is quite high. So the average teacher who does video editing with, say, Premiere Pro, you film for 5 minutes, it takes about an hour of processing, and that's kind of the normal ratio. What I found with Adobe Presenter Video Express, when I first saw it, the ratio was claimed to be, if you do a 1 minute presentation, it'll only take you 2 minutes to process it, and I couldn't believe it. But I'm about to prove to you that that is actually pretty much the case. So let's jump straight into it. I'll just escape from that slide, and I'm going to open up Adobe Presenter Video Express. So I'm using a Mac. On the Windows, it's a little bit different. You end up seeing two icons with Adobe Presenter on the Windows side. You've got the Adobe Presenter, which is a part of PowerPoint. It becomes a ribbon within PowerPoint, and it helps you add a lot more dynamic sort of material, or a lot more sort of interactivity to your PowerPoint slides, and make them full multimedia presentations and e-learning modules. Whereas the video capture side of it is a separate icon on Windows. You open that up and you get what you've got here. It opens up to all your previous projects right at the start. You can see I use it fairly extensively. First thing you do, though, is you click this little green button here called Create New Project. Click on that. You then start framing up your picture. It picks up what the camera can see, so you just make sure that you're in between the lines. You can probably see some little ant trail of lines in the middle. There's a reason why you want to be sort of middle of the screen as opposed to outside that line. And you can choose to open up the closed captioning part or not. I will actually open it up in this case. So it's now going to capture, when I click record, everything that I'm saying. It's going to convert my speech to text. It doesn't necessarily do it incredibly accurately, but you can always fine tune it later, which I'll show you in a minute. But that's a really cool feature. So what I'm going to do now is hit record, and it's going to give me 5 seconds before it starts capturing within Adobe Presenter Video Express. So now I'm capturing everything. So what I tend to do when I'm doing this is I'll go 3, 2, 1. Hi, Tim Kitchen here, and welcome to this presentation on Adobe Presenter Video Express. I love the flipped learning approach to teaching and learning, and I'm just going to show you this little slide here about some of the advantages of using a flipped learning approach. Students can spend more time in class making, doing and learning when you follow the flipped learning approach. Students spend less time sitting passively in class listening to a teacher talk because they've heard the content on video beforehand. They either understand it or they don't. If they don't understand it, they get to have more time with the teacher in class to find out what it is they don't understand. So more one-to-one time with students is an advantage. Students control the speed of the input. They can stop, rewind to their heart's content until they kind of understand whatever the concept is that the teacher's trying to explain. And less time is wasted in class. Content is available to students anytime and anywhere through a flipped learning model. So that'll do for that little presentation. So I'm just going to escape that presentation, and I'm actually going to stop the Adobe Presenter Video Express project. Now what's happening is it's processing. You can probably see the little CC sign. It's actually doing all the capturing of the closed captionings now. It actually uses the Wi-Fi, the power of your Wi-Fi, to do the text interpretation. So that's happening in the background. While that's happening, I can take the playhead here and take it to the very start, and it's created this kind of opening sort of branding theme, if you like. If you want to change the theme, you can click on this button here called branding, and it comes up with a range of different options that you can work with. If I choose cubes, for instance, we'll get a cube effect. You might be able to hear the music there in the background too. I'll just turn it down a little bit. So it puts a little song at the start, and then now I'm capturing everything. I'll just take it back again to the branding to show you a couple of the other brands you can work with. Energy Blue's quite a nice one. You get a different type of music and you get a different sort of theme. You can choose whichever one of these themes you want. You can even, there's a red one there, just pause that for a sec. You can even go down to the bottom and custom, where you can actually, so now I'm capturing everything, not have the theme there, but I haven't actually got into this too much, but apparently you can put in your own theme, something that you may have created with After Effects or something. So I'm just going to go to Grassroots. That's one I've been using recently. So if I want to put a title to my video, I'll just go underneath where the themes are and I'll type in a title. I'll call this one Presenter, and I can actually have that title appear anywhere on the screen here. If I just go in a bit closer, you can see the different options. If I click to the center right, you can see the title has appeared where I want it to go. Now if I hit play, you can hear the music, you can hear it's about to start, and then when it goes to the yellow part of the timeline, so now I'm capturing everything. You can probably hear my talking in the background, and you can see that it's been capturing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for when I went 3, 2, 1, because that's giving me the cue to know when the video is going to start. There it is about there. So if I take my playhead to the beginning of the yellow and I want to trim that section, I actually don't want that part. It's not relevant to my video. So I'm going to click this little trimming tool just down here. If I click on trim and then hit the plus sign, it'll start. So now I'm capturing everything. So what I tend to do, pause it to speed it up. I can just grab the playhead and look for 3, 2, 1, and I know I'm about to start just there as my hand's coming down. So if I click the tick box just there, that whole section has been trimmed, so it's no longer in the video. So if I now take the playhead back to the start, you'll see a little bit of the branding, and then it'll go into the beginning of my presentation. Hi, Tim Kitchen here, and welcome to this presentation on Adobe. Alright, so what we can do now is we can work with these 3 buttons. I've got the yellow, the green, and the blue. You can see the yellow one is presenter only. The green is presentation, what's on the slides only, what's on the screen basically. And the blue is a bit of both, presenter and on the screen. If you click the blue a second time, the presenter can go on to the other side of the screen. I'll explain that in a minute. So if I click on green now, you can see it's jumped to the slides, or what was on the screen. If I go to blue, you can see, as I play it, Presenter Video Express, I've appeared on the left. If I click blue a second time and play it, I love moving to the right of the screen. So you can basically have those 3 options. And what I love about this is, as I'm playing back the movie in real time, I can actually be just editing with those 3 buttons. So So that's where the speed comes into it. So I take the playhead back to the start. I'm literally going to be playing and editing at the same time.
Hi, Tim Kitchen here, and welcome to this presentation.
I'm going to go to Blue now.
Video Express. I love the flipped learning approach to teaching and learning.
And I'm going to click on the other side.
A slide here about some of the advantages of using a flipped learning approach. Students can spend more time.
Now, if I wanted to stop at this point and I wanted to emphasize something on the screen, maybe it's the word spend more time. What I can do is I can go to this little magnifying glasses pan and zoom section. If I click on that, then up here you can see a little red box that appears, and I can then just literally pan and zoom to the section I want to focus on. And this is quite handy, so I'm just going in nice and close to where it says spend more time, and I'll just zoom out so we can see it. As I hit play,
Making, doing and learning.
it's gone in close, and if I want to come back out again, I just go up here and I double click, and it goes back to the full screen. I hit play,
Learning approach.
and it's back. So let's just take the playhead back, and you can just see that effect in action. So I'll hit play now,
I'm in class, making, doing
close,
and learning.
and then it
When
should
you follow
zoom
the
back out
flipped
again.
learning approach.
And that's all part of the
Students
recording
spend
now.
less time.
So as it's playing back, I'm just going to hit the
Sitting
blue button
passively
again
in
so you can
class
see
and
me
listening
on the
to a teacher
left.
talk, because they've heard the content on video.
And maybe I'll just hit
beforehand, either
just me at this
understand
point.
If they don't
Back
understand
to
it,
the blue
they get to
again.
have more time with the teacher in class
And
to
then
find
back
out
to
the
green.
words they don't understand. So more one-to-one time with students is an advantage.
And maybe
Students
just for a change, I'll
control
put
the
me on the
speed
other
of the
side.
input. They can stop, rewind to their heart's content until
And
they
back
kind
to
of
me as the
understand
presenter.
whatever the concept is that the
Back to
teacher's
the blue
trying to
again.
explain. And less time is
So all the
wasted in
editing's
class.
happening literally as
Content
I'm
is
watching
available
it.
to students.
And if I wanted to, maybe at this point I wanted to add a title or something, just notice that the closed captioning is already starting to occur. It's not particularly accurate. We'll fix that in a minute. But let's say I wanted to put in a lower third text or something at this point. I could go back to my branding button, and you can see there's an option here for a lower third text. If I click presenter's name, I might just put in my name here, and you can see it appears above the closed captioning, and you've got two layers you can work with here. I'll just put that just to give you the idea of how this works, and then I'll click play.
Anytime,
You can see that's
anywhere.
appeared. If I take the playhead back just a little bit, you can see it actually puts in a transition. So
Content is available
dissolve
to
the
students.
Anytime
Anytime,
dissolved it in,
anywhere.
and it'll dissolve it out again after
So that'll do for
however many
that
seconds you have
presentation.
here.
So it's got
In this case it's
escape
5
that
seconds, so it's
presentation.
dissolved out.
And I'm actually going to stop.
And now that it's stopped, I could have trimmed at the end if I wanted to, but it plays a bit of the branding at the end as well. So there's my closing theme music and branding. So I've pretty much got myself a video in about twice the time that it took me to actually present it. And that is amazing. That sort of technology you just don't see in a lot of other programs, especially video editing programs. It's probably one of the reasons why this program, Adobe Presenter, has won video awards in the last 2 years actually. If you look at the website you can see the awards. So what we can do now is let's have a look at the closed captioning. If I take the playhead back and let's go to the very start here and just see what it says.
Hi, Tim Kitchen here.
I did get to it and welcome to use. Okay, not exactly what I was hoping it would say. So let's do some changes to the closed captioning. If I click on CC, you can see all the text appearing here on the right. And if I just take it to the start, let's have a look.
Hi, Tim Kitchen here.
I did get to, so I'm just going to change all of that to hi, Tim Kitchen here, and let's just see how that works. Take it back to the start again.
Hi, Tim Kitchen here, and welcome to this presentation on Adobe Presenter Video Express.
So you can see there's a bit more text I need to add there. Tim Kitchen here, welcome to, and so on and so on. You can see as you go through, you can just change the text to make sure it's appropriate. And in this day and age, there are students who really struggle to hear what videos are saying. So if you can give them the option of providing closed captioning, it's a real advantage. And it's something, it's time consuming, it's a bit of a pain, something we tend to avoid, but you may not even realize that you've got students who have got auditory issues. So if you can provide some closed captioning, it really can be quite advantageous. And once you've done it, you've done it. You've got it there as a resource you can use for the future. So it's worth putting the time in initially. All right, so let's pretend that this video is complete. And I'm really happy with it. I could always go back and make some changes, but let's say I'm really happy with it and I want to go and publish it. So what I would do, first of all, I'd save it. I haven't done that yet. I'll just go Command S for the moment. Is that going to work? No, it's already auto-saved, so I'm just going to give it a title. I'll call it Presenter Demo. That'll do. That was just by clicking the name at the top. So now I've named it properly. Now if I go down to the bottom right hand corner, there's a button here called Publish. If I click on Publish, I've got a few options to work with. The first one here is Publish to Computer, and if I click on that, it's going to start actually capturing it. I'll just stop doing that. Actually, you want to cancel? Yes, I do for the moment. What it's going to do here is it's going to create an MP4 video of your presentation, your video, and that's fine. That's perfectly good. It's MP4 video format is very common. It'll play on just about any computer device, which is great. But it is a video file, and it's something you then have to manage, work out what are you going to do with it. You're going to email it, it's a bit tricky, you're going to stream it. That's probably the best approach. Are you going to put it onto a learning management system, but then it's a large file to manage? So what we'd recommend is to probably go to YouTube or Vimeo, and if you've got an account with YouTube and Vimeo, then your video will actually go straight to your account, and then you can link you can copy the link that's generated from YouTube or from Vimeo and put it onto your learning management system or email it, and then the students just stream it from Vimeo or stream it from YouTube. It means they don't have this massive large file to worry about. Great technology. It's technology that's very, very common these days, and a terrific way to work with large files like video files. The advantage of Vimeo over YouTube is that with Vimeo you can actually add a password, which is pretty cool. You can actually add a password so that no one else can see that video except for the people who have got that password. So you share out the video link, you share out the password, and then you've got pretty much total control over who gets access. With YouTube it's not quite that simple. You can make it unrestricted, but you can't put a password on at this stage. If you have got an Adobe Connect link and you're working with Adobe Connect, you can go straight to your Adobe Connect account, and it can sit there as a video on Adobe Connect. You've also got this option here of Enable Analytics and Publish to a Computer. Now that's a whole section that I haven't really got time today to go into, but if you want to explore that a little bit further, maybe check out some of the material on the website, on the Adobe Presenter website. Find out a bit more about it. Basically, what it allows you to do is track who sees your video. It links to your learning management system. It allows you to manage when they've seen it, and you can track all that sort of data, which is quite helpful. But for the average teacher, they really just want to get that video out there and have their students be able to see it, and then they can sort of talk about it later in a flipped learning environment. So in this case I'm not going to publish this video because I've kind of shown you the options, and it takes a little while to publish. You've got to allow time for that. So just before I kind of finish this presentation, I want to just go through a couple of the other advantages of using this type of technology for the average everyday classroom. Flipped Learning Network makes a distinction between flipped classrooms and flipped learning. So I'll just go into this slide because it's worth pointing some of these out. They suggest that a flipped classroom is not necessarily a flipped learning environment or a flipped learning experience without what the Flipped Learning Network call the 4 pillars of flip. So let's just quickly go through what the 4 pillars of flip are. The first one is F, and it stands for a flexible environment. Teachers follow a flipped learning model are flexible in the way they structure the learning environment depending on what is being taught. They are also flexible in their expectations on when and where learning takes place and how it can be assessed. The next part of the flipped learning approach is L, for learning culture. And the flipped learning approach is student focused. The teacher is not the holder of knowledge, but more the facilitator of the learning process. So really this is just good pedagogy. Time in class is dedicated to exploring topics in depth and creating rich learning opportunities rather than just listening to teachers talk. Less time in class is spent with the whole class listening to explanations by the teacher. Most content is provided outside of valuable class time for students to digest at their leisure in their time. That's why it's called flipped learning. It's kind of like the homework is done in class and the lesson as such is actually done for homework. The I is for intentional content. Educators dedicated to a flipped learning model can make careful judgments on what they need to teach and what students should explore on their own. They continually focus on how this approach can help students develop an understanding of the concepts that are being taught. Classroom activities are student-centered and focused on active learning. The P in flipped, out of the four pillars of flip, is professional educator. Educators using this approach spend the bulk of class time assessing students' learning experiences through observation and provide regular instant feedback and guidance to individual students and small groups. They don't spend large amounts of time in class going over concepts that many of the students may already understand. Reflection is an important aspect of the flipped learning approach, as educators are encouraged to network and share with other like-minded teachers to improve their professional practice through the Adobe Education Exchange and through being parts of webinars like this was meant to be. An effective flipped learning educator maintains a classroom environment where a culture of student creativity, collaboration and inquiry are dominant. The teacher is not as dominant in a flipped learning model, but is fundamental to its success. So that's Adobe Presenter, and that's the flipped learning model, and they work hand in hand. Of course, Adobe Captivate is another product that we have that's really, really helpful with the flipped learning model. We haven't got time today to look at it, but there is some great resources on the Adobe Education Exchange that'll help you understand Adobe Captivate if you're keen. There's a new self-paced course on how to introduce yourself to Adobe Captivate without wanting to do a MOOC or one of these live sessions. You can just go at your own pace. So there's lots there that you can look at. So probably just another little reminder that if you are really keen and interested in becoming an Adobe campus leader, then just have a look at that URL and go ahead and apply. Just remember a couple of things. One is you need some endorsement from a school principal or a head of faculty, but you also need to be an active member of the Adobe Education Exchange to kind of qualify to become an Adobe campus leader. And every time you do a session like, follow a session like you're doing here today, every time you add to a discussion, do one of the collaborative courses, you earn points on the Adobe Education Exchange, and that helps you contribute to becoming potentially an Adobe campus leader. So I hope you found this helpful. Not only did we show you Adobe Presenter as a tool for flipped learning, as a tool for capturing screens, but we also looked at the flipped learning approach in maybe just a little bit more detail than I was going to, but I think it was pretty important. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for being part of this session, and I look forward to catching up with you another time. All the best. Bye-bye.